What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Epic Dogan. That's right. Am I Epic Dogan? I'm part of Epic Dogan. It's another part of Epic Dogan. Be meeting that part of Epic Dogan soon. Anyways, enough with the intro. Today, we are going to be discussing a very, very, very serious issue. I have discovered a secret, and this secret is going to change everything forever in the WWE world and the Deltarune universe. Now you're probably sitting there asking, what does one have to do with the other? And you know what? Had I not figured out what I figured out, I would be saying the same thing. There's no way Deltarune and WWE are connected, but they are. And we're going to be discussing that today. LA Knight, yeah, that's right. This guy, all I can say about this guy, other than what I'm about to say about this guy, is yeah. And he would agree with me. I guarantee it. But again, you're probably still wondering why I'm bringing up LA Knight. Well, it's not as simple as me just telling you. I could tell you just flat out what I know, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. We're going to have to discuss hard evidence, crucial points that completely substantiate this claim, this theory, this fact. Absolutely. So, let's just go ahead and rip the band-aid off, as some would say. LA Knight is really Spampton G. Spampton. That's right. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. A lot of you are thinking, who the hell is Spampton G. Spampton? Another part of you are probably thinking, wait a minute. I don't believe this. There's no way LA Knight, yeah, is Spampton G. Spampton. And you know what? While you're saying no, I'm saying yeah. Because he is. And this is why. I can tell you for a fact that Spampton G. Spampton and LA Knight are one in the same. The biggest thing that people are going to throw at this is Spampton G. Spampton is a tiny, tiny little man thing. Whereas Mr. LA Knight is at least an average sized man thing. And here's where that gets confusing. So Spampton G. Spampton has the ability to travel from the video game universe into reality. When he does this, what happens is the real world has to compensate and cannot create Spampton G. Spampton in what he actually looks like in his true form into the real world. So he automatically assumes a humanoid body, which is LA Knight. Before we talk about similarities and scientific data, before we get into this theory, this fact actually, we need to discuss how this happened to begin with. Okay, so it all starts in Deltarune, where Spampton G. Spampton downloads himself onto a disc and basically has the protagonist of the game load him into a body, creating Spampton Neo. Now, at the end of this, you notice that all the cords were cut. Spampton Neo dies. Or does he? So, what happens, because again, you have to remember, this is the video game world we're talking about, where everything and anything is most likely, probably, definitely possible. So, what happens is, when he's starting to fade, when he changes, and he's like, you know, this is a good thing I'm dying, blah, blah, blah. I deserve it, and all that good stuff. What happens is he does fade. He does die. But his soul is transferred to the real world through an Ethernet cable from the person playing the game. And what happened was that he was downloaded through an email virus that happened to be on a same network in a hospital where they were working on human cloning. They had a blank body, And Spampton's consciousness and soul was downloaded into this body, and then morphed the body into what Spampton would look like in the real world, thus creating L.A. Knight. Yeah. Now that we know how he came to be part of the real world and what happened to him after the whole Spampton Neo thing, we can start getting into the similarities. All right, so here is Spampton. This is Spampton G. Spampton in all his little Spampton glory. Couple key things to take away from this photo. Number one, he's having a bad hair day. But Spampton's always having a bad hair day. But that's really not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the glasses. Notice how Spampton likes and favors his round-shaped lenses. That's key. That's very important. Also notice the vest. Spampton is very notorious for wearing a vest. Here is a picture of L.A. Knight. Notice some similarities. Notice the vest. L.A. Knight is very prominent and prone to wearing vests. Also, notice these round-shaped lenses on his glasses. Where have we seen this before? Also, look at this picture of L.A. Knight. The glasses are not round-shaped, but notice the color of the lenses. That classic yellow. Spampton enjoys yellow and pink for glasses lenses. Is this just a coincidence? I think not. You might think, yeah, but I think not. Now, that alone, by itself, should be enough for me to convince you that Spampton and L.A. Knight are the same person, but that's not enough. So, I knew it wasn't going to be enough for you people. So what did I do? I got a hold of Susie. That's right, Susie. And I had her go back to the place where Spampton Neo, quote unquote, died and get me a DNA sample. And boom, here's what I will tell you about that DNA sample. I ran it through the Department of Scientific Things, and I told them to run it, and they sent me the results. And here are the results of that DNA sample. Notice that these two chromosomes right here from Spampton G. Spampton just so happen to have come from the parents of L.A. Knight, his mother and his father. Notice down here, this particular gene on the DNA sample from Spampton G. Spampton. It happens to be a very rare genetic code. It is none other than the Yeah gene. Now, 2 people in the world have ever had the Yeah gene. One of them was George Washington. He's long gone. The other one, L.A. Knight. Now, a lot of you probably think that he says yeah because he's just partial to the word, or that it's just scripted by WWE. That couldn't be further from the truth. It is genetic code. It is involuntary, almost like Tourette's. The man is asleep saying yeah. It's something he cannot control, and it's also something that Spampton G. Spampton possesses in his DNA. Now, all of this should be enough to tell you that they are, in fact, the same person. But that's not enough. I've got 2 other points I'd like to make. A little while back, there was something called the Spampton Value Network. Now, what was this? I'll tell you what this was. This was the first attempt that Spampton G. Spampton had of trying to come into the real world, reality, if you will. But he didn't feel safe to do it by himself, so he made a clone of himself, named it Spampton A. Spampton, and sent it into the real world. Instead of possessing an unmolded human body, it actually possessed not an unmolded human body, but the guy that played George Costanza in Seinfeld. And that gave us this monstrosity. Now, did he look like Spampton? A little bit. But make no mistakes, This was 100% Spampton G. Spampton's genetic makeup, thoughts, and opinions. And what's important about this is something he said during the Spampton Value Network broadcast. Listen to this.
Spampton, Spampton.
Now, listen to this.
L.A. Knight. Yeah.
That was 100% a vocal pattern match. I had this checked out by the Audio of Science Division, Department 1, and they told me that this is unmistakably the same person. Go figure. I didn't tell them what it was about because it was too big. So I just had them tell me, and they did tell me that it was the same person. Now, aside from all of this, the smoking gun is that Spampton G. Spampton, as everyone knows, has always been obsessed with the money. All the money. And this picture right here of L.A. Knight and what he's holding should tell you everything you need to know. Now, everything that I said is a fact. It's not a theory. If it was a theory, I wouldn't have brought science into the equation, but I did. I talked to science. I talked to several sciences, and they told me all of these things. So, I do apologize for shattering your fragile world, but that's our goal here on Epic Dogan, is to enlighten you to the secret truths of the world. Have a great day. We're still thinking of a catchphrase. Goodbye.